So Vav and Aleph, we're still looking for a source that we would have thought that Aseh is Docheh, even Elav Sheyesh Beikaris, that you need the word Allah and Daf Gimel Mebez to teach me that Yibum is not Docheh, unlike the usual. So where is that source? So Ella, Vav and Aleph on the top, Takai Malon, Docheh Aseh V'Docheh Los Aseh.
1 ounce more, 1 ounce less.
Look on melachah, we did that.
A hair's breadth too high, a hair's breadth too low.
No, we didn't do this.
We're going to there? Fine. So then we just have to pick up. The Gemara said before in Hiyam Beis that perhaps the source would be, it says, Ish imo ve'aviu tיראו שבתותי תשמורו כולכם חייבים בכבודי. So we learn out that it says, Ani Hashem, you have to listen to me. Even if your parent tells you to be machal Shabbos, you listen to me. The Gemara said, isn't that talking where the parent said to do a melachah of Shabbos, which is kares? For example, shachut shach the animal, basholi, do bishul. And you see the Torah needed to specifically tell me, Ani Hashem, don't listen, but typically you would have listened to the Aseh, even though it's against olav sheish b'kares. Which Gemara responded, we saw yesterday, love the mechaber. We want to say it's not talking where the parent tells the child to do either bishul or to do the example of shachut, to do shechita. No, it's talking mechaber where he tells him to be over a losase of having the animal, causing the animal to feel uncomfortable and to go and on Shabbos, which is mechaber. So that's where you would have thought Aseh is Docheh. The losase to teach me over here that Ani Hashem, don't listen to the parent. So then the Gemara continues today. So now we have a question. Because we have been saying that Aseh is Docheh, like we learn out from Tzitzis and Pishtim, right? Samra Pishtim Yachtav. We learn out from there that Aseh is Docheh. Why don't we learn out from this pasuk? Aseh is not Docheh. You have two pasukim in front of you. You have a pasuk with Tzitzis. Aseh is Docheh. Here you have a pasuk according to the version the Gemara wants to explain it now, is that the parent tells the child to do this, right, to do Kibbud of aim, to do mechamer, which is a losaseh on Shabbos. Don't listen to the parent, meaning it should be a source that I say is not docheh losas. Says the Gemara, v'chitema shani lav the Shabbos the maybe you'll say the lav of Shabbos is more chomer. I mean, the reason why the Torah is saying don't listen to the parents only because this is a more chomer lav. But typically you would say Aseh is docheh losas. Say watana ba'almagai, but I'll bring you a braisa that is taught on other lavin, which is not a lav of Shabbos, v'lo kaparach. And we don't respond with that Shabbos is more chomer. How's that? Tanya says the braisa, Yochel Amar Lo Avivi Tame. You might think that if the father tells the child, this is a Kohen, become Tame. Oh, Shamar Lo Al Tachsor, he tells him, don't return a lost object, that would be even an uncoin, doesn't matter. Yochel Yishmalo, you might think you listen to the parent cause Kibbud of Eim. Tamalaymar Ish Imoy Ve'aviv Tirahu, Ves Shabsosai Tish Moiru. So here we have the same drasha. It says, you have to have fear for the parent, and then it says, listen to keep Shabbos, Ani Hashem. So, Kulchem Chayav Nemichvori. Hashem is saying that they're also Chayav Mekavod. Now here, this is an example, which is, it's not Shabbos. Right? We're trying to pull out from the pasuk of Shabbos to other types of cases. We're applying it to cases where it's not a lav of Shabbos. It's a lav of becoming Tamei of a Kohen, or it would be a lav of Lusu Chulisalim. Right? Don't return the lost object. Don't just walk right by. And it's saying over there also that we learn out from the pasuk that we do not listen to the parent. So this once again should be a source that Aseh is not Docheh. Ella. So what's really the answer? So here there's a big machlok Rashi and Tosas. Explain it like Rashi for now. Maybe we'll go back to the Tosas. Rashi says the Ella here is actually going all the way back to him a base. When we said originally that why don't we learn out from Kibbud of Ve'im, the Gemara suggested we should learn out from Kibbud of Ve'im that Aseh typically would be Docheh Alos Aseh Sheish Bakaris, and Kibbud of Ve'im is an exception, the pasuk is saying, and therefore we should be able to pull it over to Yibum, that also an Aseh of Yibum should be Docheh Alav Sheish Bakaris. To which the Gemara is saying, it's not a good raya. Why not? Because it's a hechsher mitzvah. I mean, really, the braisa Hanami is talking where the parent is telling the child to do shchita, to do bishul, real melachah Shabbos. Okay, so you have a pasuk saying that you don't listen to the parent. You would have thought you listened to the parent, but that's only because it's a hechsher mitzvah. What does that mean? So Rashi explains. It means that doing the bishul, doing the shchita, is exactly the conflict. That action would be a lav in the Torah, a lav sheish b'karis, but that action itself is the aseh that the parents had to do. As opposed to pull it over to Yibum, here's the Chiddush. Rashi says, Yibum is not Hechsher Mitzvah. It's not an automatic necessity to do the Yibum, because there's always an option of Chalitza. You can all fall back on Chalitza. So that's what the Gemara suggests. Fine, even if you have a source that Aseh would be Docheh Lav Sheish B'Karis, you wouldn't have a source that you would need Aleha, that Yibum would have been Docheh, the Lav of Arayos. Because you could have always said, do Chalitza. Right, that's how Rashi explains. So let's learn the whole Gemara, the whole Amud like Rashi right now. Hello, so now we're looking weiter. What would be a source that you would have needed Allah to teach me that even though it's a lav sheish b'karis, the Aseh of Yibum would have been doicha, even though it's not a hechsher mitzvah. Hello, so rather would have thought tasting binyan and beis hamikdash a different braisa about building the beis hamikdash. The time you might think that building the mikdash is doicha Shabbos tamalayim ras Shabbos tishmoro mikdash tיראו, a different pasuk where it puts Shabbos, the mitzvah Aseh of Shabbos, right next to the pasuk of having yira when entering into the mikdash for the area of the beis hamikdash. You should have fear, as the Gemara will explain what exactly that entails. But this braisa is learning out that don't think that you should build the mikdash on Shabbos. So my love of the pasuk, what is this referring to? Building, right? Binyan beis hamikdash, says the braisa. That's building or destroying. The time in the Rachman as Shabbos tishmoro. Same setup as before. You would have thought, if not for the pasuk specifically over here, you would have thought that Aseh is Docheh Lo Aseh. You would have thought to build the beis hamikdash on Shabbos, even though it's sheish b'karis. So here's the source. You need Allah to be madch. To which the Gemara says the same exact setup. Lo lav de mechamer. How do you know it's talking to actually do bon nevasos? Or perhaps somehow you need to move the animal in order to build the beis hamikdash. So that lav mechamer you would have thought is doicha, to which the braisa says from the pasuk it's not. For then the problem is same question as before. So learn out from here that Aseh is not Docheh Lo Aseh, because you see you're not supposed to do even lav de mechamer, regular lav, when it comes to binyan beis hamikdash where there's an Aseh. Once again, we're going to respond that Shabbos is different because it's more chamor, and that's why I say it's not doicha. But typically, I say would be doicha lav, even a lav grade of but there's an braisa that speaking about lav which are not Shabbos. But look up, we don't respond in that way. We don't ask such a question. The time same exact braisa as before. You see over here that we're applying this pasuk. Two examples where you don't have a lav de mechamer, you don't have a lav of Shabbos. Ella, once again, same answer. So you're going to say, same exact thing. Very nice. You do have a good source. This is what, going with Rashi again, the same shot as Rashi before. But really, we're going to understand that you're doing bon nevasos in the pasuk. And the pasuk is saying you would have thought to do bon nevasos even though it's Shabbos for binyan beis hamikdash. Comes the pasuk says don't do bon nevasos even though it's lav sheish b'karis. You would have thought to do it, but it's still not a good source to Yibum that you would have thought Aseh is docheh lav sheish b'karis because there's hechsher mitzvah. There's no other option. Right? When you do the Aseh is to do a melachah of karis. There is no other way to do the melachah. There's no other way to do the Aseh, I should say, other than being over the melachah of Shabbos. Says the Gemara. So what's the raya again to need Allah? So Gemara, no, hechsher mitzvah, typically wholesome. We could say hechsher mitzvah. The fact that Aseh is, the fact that an Aseh would be docheh lav sheish b'karis, and the pasuk needs to say it's not. In these examples, you don't need to teach me this pasuk by binyan beis hamikdash. You don't need a pasuk to teach me that you would have thought Aseh is docheh a lav when there's a hechsher mitzvah, meaning when there's a automatic contradiction here. There's no other option, like for example chalitza, because you already have the other pasuk, the pasuk of Ishimo v'avitirova Shabbos tishmoro on Hema Beis kolachem chayvim b'chlori. So why do you need this pasuk? So if you don't need this extra pasuk, we should say we should use it for any example where it's not hechsher mitzvah. For example, yibum chalitza, where even though you're right, it's not an automatic contradiction. You don't have to do the yibum. You could really do the chalitza, but still, I would have thought that you could do the yibum, even though it's not hechsher mitzvah. You could do the yibum aseh, even though it's coming against lav sheish b'karis. So as the Gemara, no, inochanami. It's really true that you have that first pasuk. You have that first pasuk by Kibbud Aveim to teach me that usually it's true Aseh is Docheh lav sheish bakaris. But it's special by Kibbud ve'im that Aseh is not Docheh lav sheish bakaris because kolchem chayavim b'chvori in that pasuk. Again, so then what do you have this need for this other pasuk? Tişmoro says the Gemara, mi violate l'katanya. This pasuk is really what we said before is more of an asmachta. It's really needed for something else. And that's this braisa. Says the braisa, another braisa. You might think a person should have yira from the Beis Hamikdash itself. We're getting to some level of avodah zarah. You might think that it's proper to have the yira of the mikdash itself. If you could separate the mikdash from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The mikdash itself requires a level of fear for it. This hekish between Shabbos and Mikdash. Nemra Shmira b'Shabbos and Nemra Mora b'Mikdash. You have both this word Shmira b'Shabbos. You have the word Mora b'Mikdash. But Ma Shmira Hamura b'Shabbos, the Shmira to b'Shabbos, Loi Mishabbos Tamisyari. You're not having Yira of the day of Shabbos. You're having Yira of Hashem, Shmira of Shabbos, fearing Hashem. It's Shmira of Shabbos. It's guarding Shabbos. You're not fearing Shabbos. Elami Misha Hizer al Shabbos. You are fearing the one who warned you on Shabbos. So the Mora that's written by the Mikdash, you're not fearing the Mikdash. You're fearing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who warned you the Mikdash. Let's just finish the braisa. Now just the braisa tells you what are the examples of Mora Mikdash. Lo yichnes adam bar ba'yis ma'kolei b'minolo b'pundoso u'ba'ovek shalak abit raglo v'liyasena kapandrio rakiko mikal v'chomer. A person should not walk to the Mikdash with walking stick, shoes. Pundosu is some type of belt that had pockets in it for money or some other type of wallet that was attached to the clothing. It seems more like it was pockets and some type of belt that went around him. Avak would be the dust on his feet. He has to make sure not to walk into the Mikdash with that, and he can't use it as a shortcut. And of course he cannot spit. Being the Bisman Shabbos Hamikdash Kaim, Bisman Shein Bis Hamikdash Kaim. And how do you know even if the Mikdash is not standing that also one is not allowed to forgo this? He has to have Yira. Tamalom as Shabbos Tishmoro Mikdash Torah Mashmir Amur Mashabbos Lo Ilam. Just Shmira by Shabbos is forever. Af Mur Amur Mikdash Lo Ilam. Period. So that's going to be we're left right now with a question again. How do we have any source that says Docheh Lav Sheish Bakaris? By Yevamos at least that you will need a pasuk violate to say it's not.